What's up, people? Welcome back to another last recollection video. This time I'm going to go over an interview between Dengeki to the SAO developers. So this is a very good interview and there's a lot of, you know, question being answered. So we're gonna go over it, or I'm gonna go over it. But if you want to read the full articles, you can go to their website and read it because they talk about the other SAO games as well. A lot of curiosity questions and stuff. So it's really good. It's like thoughts. What are the devs' thoughts when they make these games for a 10 years journey and etc. So I'm just gonna only talk about the last recollection portion of it. So yeah, this is gonna be a direct translation from the website, and there will be some errors as usual. But first one. LR will not be difficult, to be clear, because it is a thing. LR isn't difficult as in AL, as they pointed out. The dev said himself. So they're mostly just gonna do bug fixes and other stuff. They have no plans for major updates, for the like AL, which they did. So in LR. So what that means is that like after the paid DLC, we'll see. So no promises. And like it's because the reason why people are asking, some of them are asking if there's like more end game stuff to do besides just the story. While Futami explained itself down there, the second paragraph. So AL is more of a performance after the clearing. So you beat the game, you do the end game and etc. But Last Recollection is designed to maximize the story. So for people to enjoy RPG games, and for any type of people, either they're SAO fans or not, or they're just playing games, so they can enjoy it. That's why the game is so much easier compared to the previous SAOs. Like you don't really need to learn too much. The game pretty much tells you everything. You press one square button, you beat everything. So it's like a live play mode on top of the live play mode. So it's like basically that's what it is. So there's not really much to talk about. Besides, that's what you can read it yourself too. Futami explained in the second paragraph. So that's why they don't want to make it same as AL, where just very, very in depth into the game. But yeah, I can see that they want to make the story friendly for a lot of people. Yet there's still people complaining about how difficult a game it is, even though it's not even close to AL. But as the devs said it themselves in the paragraphs, so I don't need to explain why the game is so much more easier compared to that. And I will talk about that in my future project for the thoughts for the LR. But as for right now, I'm not gonna go too deep into the game itself. Now, so Futami just basically point out that they want to make this game story relevant, not just heavily endgame grinding and etc. I mean, it's fine either way. I mean, half people like playing endgame, half people want to play the story, or just want both in general. I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter. So, I mean, I'm just enjoying playing everything. So, nonetheless, let's move on to the next question. So, here's the next question. Following up the previous one, they even talk about in depth of the difficulty of the DLC. So now they talk about, if you advance to chapter 8, you can challenge and the difficulty is not high. Its recommended level is around 35. But I think there's no problem even if it's lower than that. So the difficulty is basically story mode. So it is not like a dungeon type where like you actually go through it and fight bosses. So what they already said in the previous question was, they answered it with it's pretty much explain what Last Recollection is really about, is the story itself being an RPG element. That's why Futami emphasizes so much, and that's why you can see it in the game itself. It is it's not close to be AL, where heavily endgame grinding, which people complain a lot. Now the LR is just story wise, and it's kind of like people also still complain about it's too difficult, and there's like half of them just complain about there's not a whole lot to do in the end game story. So which is which, no clue. But he also thinking about prepare some of the end game content for core users. and he can't promise it because whether or not implement in a form other than paid DLC or after paid DLC. So who knows if he's gonna add more endgame. I hope they do, because to wrap up the game itself is better to add something in endgame than just finish the story and not have any endgames. But whether what how they gonna add it, no clue. As long as they add it, it'll be fine. To be honest, I mean, if you leave it the game as it is for like the end game contents, it's just divine beasts and then the raids and upgrade all that stuff. Yeah, I mean it's cool, but you're basically emphasized so much in the story where like you don't really need to do too much afterwards. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of okay. I mean, but some people would, like me, I would like to play more end game and content stuff. Some people don't really want to play end game content. They only want to focus story, which is fine. I mean, you're always gonna have people go each direction, so it doesn't really matter in the end which one it picks. So I will hope they would try to figure something out and add something besides the paid DLC or work on some of the updates, because that would be important. And we'll see, because they didn't promise anything. So it's not like they didn't say they won't do it, but they didn't say they will do it either. So we'll just have to wait and see. Let's get to the next question. Okay, so let's go over the last question. It's gonna be interesting. It's not related to LR, but it is related to the future SAO game. So what did they say, or what did Futami say? Are there gonna be any developments? Futami says that the game series that will continue from the Infinity Moment will be complete, but it's just a reset of story and worldview, and then the SAO game will continue to be made. I think that's a completely new form of SAO. Fans will be born that can feel free to enter. So I would be happy if you could continue to support me in the future. So yeah, that will be a different story of SAO, but who knows if they're gonna make more SAOs or not. But as for the game verse, I felt like they're definitely gonna wrap up for Lost Recollection for sure, because there's nothing else after it, to be honest. So that's why they pushed it out, the Lost Recollection, to end the story. And it's not necessarily gonna be, like AL, where it's gonna be a long game and people is gonna be, grinding and non-stop, and it will take you forever. But basically, to sum up the entire interview for the developers for the Lost Recollection, you'll know that it is gonna be a story heavily, and not much to it. That's what it is. There are some end game contents. Whether if they're gonna add more in the future, who knows? But the upcoming DLC dungeons, story wise, don't expect it to be. There's gonna be some heavy grinding and end game, as the way it is. So it's basically just more of a story. They already said that. You clear it, you get different outfits, and that's about it. So it is friendly RPG. So I don't really like that term, to be honest, to be friendly. I mean, it's kind of like, well, we're just going to make a story only. I mean, at that point, you can just say we're going to make a story only. Don't make it like sound like we'll make the game easier, just the story, But some people would enjoy the story as more to it, but also there are other people who enjoy playing the end game aspect, not just the story itself. So this is why, it's always divided into half and half. People will like the end game, people don't like the end game. So I mean, in the end of the day, they got to do both to balance it, because from every single SAO games, there's gonna be always things to do after the game. They all prioritize the story as well. So you can't just make a game where only story and there's nothing else to it. With the previous SAOs, they're all like you can do stuff after the story. So I mean, whether if it's a lot or not a lot, it's better to have something than have nothing. So this is why the LR is so much shorter. But a lot of people compared it to AL, but I'm not gonna go too deep into AL. and stuff. But like I say, I will talk about it in the big project for their thoughts when it comes to the game itself. I will talk about it there compared to here because it's gonna be a long video. There's no point doing it in this video. Other than that, you guys should have somewhat of ideas what the upcoming stuff is gonna be and what to expect. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time.